I'm going to bring you a topic on how and what does research tells us about autism recovery, specifically on the communication part. So I have started this series where I'm bringing scientific research-based knowledge and information to you guys every single week. And the first episode was about what scientific research is telling about speech and speech therapy, and it's already in my channel, so you should go back to that and you can watch it after this one. Okay, so don't go right now, after you are done. So today what we're gonna do is I did my personal research and then I followed through several articles and research papers and journals and things like that. And here's what I have found. There are, for communication. So today's topic is about communication. So what is communication? So a lot of the time parents get a little confused that speech is communication, and sometimes some parents have the idea that my child speaks but he doesn't communicate. So for example, communication means you are asking him something, he's reciprocating, he's replying, or you are giving him advice or suggestions or directions, and then your child is able to follow through those directions and advancements and things like that. So in that sense there are seven, sorry, there are seven core communication challenges in kids with autism. And it depends on whether your child is mild, moderate, severe, or something called profound autism. So yeah, there has been a new diagnosis attached to autism, which is called profound, which means that that person is so much autistic, it's so profound that you just cannot recover much of anything. Okay. And I have worked with some of those so-called profound autistic kids, and I have seen a lot of improvements in their speech, in their communication. Yes, they cannot, or they haven't become completely normal, because here's the thing. You and me, we should not actually focus, or the goal should not be to completely make your child normal, because your child is on the spectrum. He or she will always be on the spectrum. What I do, what I believe, what my work stands for is to remove the structures, the obstacles, the problems that your child have towards speech, communication, being able to lead their life, understanding world, overcoming challenges that hinders their life quality and that hinders where they can go in their future. I am also on the spectrum, and just like my son, we both are now on really successful grounds. Okay, we no longer struggle with speech or communication or writing or understanding, socialization, taking care of ourselves and things like that. And that is exactly what I want to bring to every single autism parent. So if whatever I teach lands with you, you like it, please share, because that really helps me to reach more parents and give them the good news that you can really work on your child's development. And the way that you're going to do it is to first identify and understand the problems, the root causes of things, and then give them the solution. So the solution that I always talk about is the 5 pillars protocol that I have built and I have perfected over the last 6 years, alhamdulillah, after working with 400 different kids of different race, different age, different, both the genders, and then everything in between. So yeah, the 7 core communication challenges in autism starts with number 1, with language developmental variability. So what is a language developmental variability? Which means that there is a variation on how each individual child can develop their language proficiency. And it can be sometimes that they have limited speech, sometimes they have moderate speech, sometimes they have no speech at all. Okay, so and they can also, so another thing is some kids can actually possess extensive vocabularies, but I mean they have the words. Let's say your child have 1,000 words, but he just doesn't know how to use those words in the right context. So for example, mom, give me a glass of water. He has mom, give me a glass of water. All of these words in his repertoire, but he just doesn't know how to put mom, give me a glass of water one after another to make a complete sentence that makes sense. Does that make sense? Okay, so that is number one problem that or difficulties that autism kids have, which is language development variability. The second thing that autism kids struggle with is nonverbal communication impairment or difficulties. So nonverbal communication is not understanding that this means the person's angry, this means the person is happy, like facial expression. So I can give you an example. Muhammad, my son on the spectrum, who was severe, and who had a lot of really tangible and hard to understand and work through challenges. And one of that was he did not have many facial expressions. Most of the time, he would be like a zombie looking at the TV, or, rolling his cars one side to another, or lining them up and things like that. And what would happen was, if I would talk to him, if I would cry in front of him, if I would hurt myself and things like that, he just wouldn't show the empathy. And there was a point when I actually felt so scared of him. And I felt like, did I give birth to a future psycho? Because I love psychological thrillers. I love, psychological thrillers. And then I do, and I'm on the spectrum, and if something gets inside my head, it just stays there, right? So I would think like, did I give birth to a human being who just doesn't know how to be a human being, because he would not have expressions. So from there to having full range of expressions and understanding, that journey is possible for you also. Even if your child does not understand nonverbal communications and have difficulties, you can recover those things. The third problem that autism kids have in terms of communication difficulties is pragmatic language impairment. It means they have difficulties in understanding the context, tone, figurative language, etc., which can lead to misunderstanding in social interactions. I remember when, let's say, people would come to our home, instead of asking them, how long will you stay? I would ask them, when will you go? And guess what would happen? That would ensure that I land a bunch of slaps, or, verbal threats and real big abuse and shoutings and things like that. And that would cause my parents to be extremely embarrassed, because we are from Southeast Asia. And in Southeast Asian countries, our culture is very sensitive, right? So that sensitive culture would not accept me for who I was. And I just wasn't understanding, this is the tone that I should be scared of. That is the tone that I should be moving towards. And even if somebody is saying, I like you, that doesn't mean they actually like me. That is a sarcastic way of saying. That is sarcasm. It took me like a decade to actually understand what was sarcasm, because I was going with some, a school that I was. It was a private school. My parents tried their best to, get the best education that they could by being a middle class parent, which is actually where I learned to invest in kids rather than just, stockpiling the money and assets. So I would see people saying things to me, and I just wouldn't understand that they were being sarcastic or being actually really mean. And then when I would repeat the same thing to them, they would say in my face, Tasnova, you are being mean. And I was like, I just didn't understand. Well, yesterday you said the same thing to me, and today I'm saying the same thing to you. Yesterday I didn't feel like you were being mean. I just accepted that. And today I'm saying the same thing to you. You were saying I'm just being mean. So it took me a lot of time and understanding that, this is the tone, that is the facial expression, this is the context of figurative language. And, that could lead to a lot of difficulties in social interactions, and how your child can interact with other peers builds their future momentum, builds their self-confidence. And if your child have severe or even pretty substantial problem with pragmatic language impairment, even if they have the words, they will not talk. They will not talk. Your child might have developed a lot of nonverbal communications, understanding the eye movements of the parents or the tones of the parents, but your child might not really understand that in this context, this is actually a sarcastic comment and I should not respond to it. They might go respond to that, and then they come to know that, okay, when somebody says something, I respond to it. They don't like it, they shun me, and I make fun of myself, and my parents are upset. So let me just not talk at all. So I have seen that happen to a lot of the kids that I work with. The parents, after 5 or 6 months of going through the protocol via the 6MD program, they would say that I don't have any other problems with my child. He is verbal now. He was nonverbal. Now he's speaking. Now he's eating, sleeping, talking, everything. But my child is still not communicating. My child is still not replying to me as often as I would love or want or need, or socially being acceptable. That is what is happening. That is what is happening, meaning your child have developed those words and whatnot, but he just doesn't have the self-confidence or the self-esteem to really push through and learn to develop their communication skills. And in that context, you being the parent and fifth pillar of the 5 pillars protocol being need-based parenting, your task, your job is to create the safe space for your child to explore talking, to explore communication, to explore using different phrases, different tones, different contexts, different figurative language. And if you want to improve your child's communication, you have to stop confusing your child with the vast array of language proficiency that you have. You have to kind of dumb it down. You have to give your child simple structures, simple instructions. Give me this, give me that, do this, do that. Simple structures. When he is able to do all of those things and you celebrate that with your child, that builds confidence, which is also one of the reasons why inside our program we have this really cool thing that we encourage our parents to share their weekly wins, to share anything and everything that is even a small percentage of improvement. Because when the parent keeps on celebrating the small wins keep stacking up, and then it becomes a big win. A lot of the times, you and me, we just don't recognize the small wins, and we are like, nah, it's not working, that's not working, let's try something else. But actually there is. And because you did not have the structure to identify that wins are happening, improvements are happening, and you just don't follow on with that. Okay. All right. The fourth thing that happens is echolalia and repetitive speech. So a lot of the time, echolalia is when your child is just, let's say he heard, Muhammad would do that also. He heard certain rhymes somewhere, and then he's saying those rhymes without context, without any specific reasonings. Let's say maybe he's playing and then he's saying wheels on the bus. Let's say he's playing with a toy that is not a bus, but then he's saying wheels on the bus go round and round. Or maybe he's playing with a toy, but he's saying twinkle, twinkle, little star, how you wonder what we are. That is the child talking or using words without context. Echolalia, it's the child repeating words what he or she have heard that have ignited something in him. Because a lot of the time echolalia happens with words from rhymes and rhythms that sounded good to them, and they felt good about it, and then they keep on repeating. Here's one thing. If your child is completely nonverbal and you start working on your child's brain development, with the protocol, 5 pillars to autism success. And then what will happen is from nonverbal, your child will start to do echolalia. So if you haven't started working on your child's brain development and your child have echolalia right now, I would say you are kind of halfway there to proper speech, because echolalia means the brain is understanding and learning and soaking up words, that when the brain fog kind of dissipates, the child can then put one after, the puzzle pieces together and to complete the whole language pattern formation. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if you are understanding where I am coming at and what I'm saying. Okay. The other three communication difficulties, which are, by the way, subtle, not as serious, are word finding difficulties. So word finding difficulties means your child is like, he wants to say, and then he or she has started talking, and they're like, um, that means your child is having a little bit of difficulty finding the word. It happens when there is brain fog present, and detoxification is one of the way that we remove the brain fog, so that the brain can very fast carry on with understanding and finding the words that is fit for the communication that they're trying to create or make. Okay. The second thing that is subtle communication difficulties, or as in the seven, we are in our fifth one now, is narrative construction issue. So narrative construction issue is a challenge in organizing thoughts and conveying stories coherently. So for example, your child is trying to tell a story of what happened at school today. He might start with the middle and then go to the front, the starting of the story, and then maybe he go back to the end of the story. That is what happens with narrative construction issues. So with narrative construction issues, the child is specifically in need of understanding how a story starts, how it progresses, and how it ends. Me, a 38-year-old, I still struggle with narrative construction issues, and every day it comes up every day in my life, because I'm trying to do, let's say, a reel, a Facebook post, an Instagram reel, or carousel post, and almost always I start in the middle, or maybe I start with the end. With the end-ish, and then we go back. So which sometimes creates like a little bit of confusion in my writing. And so I have learned to, find out where I'm making the mistakes, and then using applications and softwares to teach me how to, write better. And it's a process. It is not like you are gonna completely resolve all the issues of your child with 2 years, because that is one question I always get, right? Dr. T, you say that we have to follow your protocol for 2 years. What happens after 2 years? What happens after 2 years is your child is still gonna be following the protocol, but not as strictly. Your child is gonna have more regular, normal lifestyle, communication, understanding. You have to keep building on it, because after 2 years, you're not gonna stop being their mother. And after 2 years, your child is not gonna stop, your child is not gonna become 18 years old, as in like adult. Your child is still gonna be, let's say he was 7 now, after 2 he's 9, and then he has to still become 10, 11, 12. Right. So with age, there has to be improvements coming in, work that has to be done. You never stop being a parent. You never stop being a parent. Okay, the seventh problem that autistic kids have is emotional expression limits. So emotional expression is articulating emotions. So one thing that you can do is buying picture cards or index cards with expressions like smiley face, upset, sad, all of those things. Even adults struggle with emotional expression. When we ask somebody, how are you feeling? Good, bad. That's it. It seems like good, bad, or angry. Okay, it seems like there are some very common words that we put with emotions. I'm feeling good, happy, okay, angry, sad, upset. And some people who are a little more of higher thoughts, they might say, I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling depressed, and all of those things. The thing is, there are over 50 different emotions in human being, not just five. 50 different human emotions. So for us to be able to teach the child, we ourselves need to know what those emotions are. We ourselves need to know, teach us our own emotions. We need to be in touch with our own emotions. And that is also what we teach inside the program. The first pillar, mindset and trauma healing, is exactly what it does. It works with the mother. It teaches the mother a lot of, through hypnosis, neurolinguistic programming, through cognitive behavioral therapies. We have included the best of the modern research-based modalities that helps with psychological re-imprintment. It helps with the rewiring of the nervous system. It helps with you getting in touch with your emotions so that you can teach your child. For a teacher to be a good teacher, that teacher needs to be a good student too, because you can only teach as much as you can learn, which is why I always learn, because I want to be the freaking best teacher in the world. Okay, so those were the 7 challenges that core communication challenges and subtle communication challenges that autistic kids have. Let me just recap. They were language development and variability. There were nonverbal communication difficulties. There were pragmatic language impairment, where they could not understand the context, tone, or figurative language, when somebody is being sarcastic. The fourth thing was echolalia and repetitive speech. The fifth was word finding difficulty, which is a subtle problem. The sixth was narrative construction issues, which is when the person doesn't understand where the story starts and the middle and the ending, as in like the smooth flow of communication. Okay, that is not happening. And then the last one, the seventh one, was emotional expression limits, where the person does not understand the expressions. And that also stems from the parents not having the wide range of expression needed for the child to even mimic, okay, copy. Okay, all right. So during this research, I actually went through Google Scholars and tried to figure out some researches on the recovery rate of autism, because it's something that I'm very passionate about, to understand and find and tweak and perfect as much as possible. Did you know that scientific research has found that between 3 to 25% of kids who get the diagnosis lose the diagnosis, recovers autism? So yeah, actually research is saying that recovery is possible. Congratulations. I would take that odd. I would keep on working with that, because I would want my child to be on that 25%. And here's the thing. The kids who work with me, the parents who work with me inside the Autism Transformation and Success 6MD program, we have over 95% of success rate. You know why? The 3 to 25% of improvements or losing of diagnosis that you see, that the research have seen, I have gone through the data that they have pulled from, and over there mostly the parents were using ABA therapy, some form of early intervention, and there were a little bit of diet somewhere down there. There were also medications used. Those were the 4 things that I could find which helped to losing of the diagnosis. And here's the thing. Inside the program, I do not teach you speech therapy or ABA therapy or so-called support therapies, because what I do is I work on the brain to develop so that the brain can remove those fogs, achieve those expressions and understandings, achieve those tones and contexts, and where to begin a story and where to end the story. Understanding of all of those communications and speech and language developments happens through the brain development. which is what we focus on. And how do we do the brain development? The 5 pillars, 4 of the 5 pillars work on your child's brain development. The 5th pillar, which is the mindset and the trauma healing, helps the child by you becoming the best version of yourself and helping to really understand the child, to learn and equip yourself with the knowledges, the experiences, and expertise to teach the child emotions, context, sarcasm, story, communication. Does that make sense? I hope it does. The 4th part that helps your child's brain development is diet, detoxification to remove the brain fog. Then there is the lifestyle changes where gadget is, you should shun gadget and anything that is creating stress in the child's body, nervous system. The 4th one was need-based parenting, where you understanding your child's need and providing those needs. So if the 5th pillar, if I don't take care of myself, I learn to be calm, I learn to be a freaking badass, I cannot actually help the child go through all of these other 4 pillars. And the 3 to 25% of recovery that research is seeing, they are not implementing the rigorous 5 pillars that I teach. Okay, which is why the percentage is not growing more than 25. It could actually go to a bigger, better, bester percentage when you really work through your child's brain development. And if you are ready, I have the best thing going on. Our Eidul Azha promotion is running. So in Eidul Azha promotion, you are getting 8 months of intensive coaching with me instead of 6 months. And then you are gonna get $500 of discounts from your payment plan, because after the Eidul Azha, we are gonna bring back our regular payment plan amounts, which is gonna be higher, obviously. And we have included 12 one-to-one coachings, which we didn't do before. Even until last year, there were just 2 one-to-one sessions, one with me and one with the dietitian. Now I have bring 12 individual one-to-one sessions with me, with my coaches, with the dietitian, with the brain mindset coach. You will have 2 class. With dietitian, you will have 3 calls one-to-one. With me, you will have 2 calls one-to-one. With my lifestyle coach, you will have 2 classes, 2 calls one-to-one. With our parenting expert, you are going to have, autism moms who have recovered their child's substantial delays through our protocol. So they are our graduates teaching our students. The 4 individual calls with them as well. So all of these one-to-ones along with the group, this program has become the best in the world now, because this program has now become the super deep hybrid version. Most of the time you go to a program, they are fully group. Sometimes you find somewhere where there is just one-to-one support. Even if there is one-to-one support, if it is not the right kind of support for brain development and the full picture, the full map, the complete system, one-to-one is not going to help you. What is going to help you is a full, complete, system, which is the 5 pillars protocol, along with the classes, which is happening pretty much twice a week. We have increased our class levels and the numbers of class we give to our elite students, 6MD students. So now every student is getting about 7 to 8 classes every month, which means like 2 classes a week. Mondays and Wednesdays are classes that you're gonna come. And then there are those 12 one-to-one calls ready for you to sit one-to-one and go through your struggles, where you are getting stuck, why you are getting stuck, and being that, like a mirror to give you back what's missing in your child's strategy or your strategy. If you are interested, go to the description. I have left the links to, check out the program details, to book a call with me. I only have enough time for only 4 calls a week. So that means there's only 4 calls. Previously, I would take 20 to 25 calls a week. Now I cannot due to being busier and having more students, alhamdulillah. So what we are going to do is you will have 4 call options a week. I would highly suggest you to go on and book your calls, because after the Eid, the extra 2 month and the extra $500 discount is going to go away. And then you're going to have the regular 6 months of coaching and every other things. The one-to-ones will be there because I have started loving them so much, because alhamdulillah, I feel so confident. I feel so good running the programs because we are trying our best to give the best support, teaching, knowledge, strategies, mindset, spirituality that you need for your child's autism recovery. And yes, I'm going to use that word very, very regularly, because now even scientific research is saying recovery is possible. So why not? Are you ready? Let's join.